So we're going to cut to... So now, okay, we're in purgatory now, and now the poet has a career, and even has such a career that she has patrons. And briefly, a couple of rich artists decide that they will support her by throwing an extra estate her way for a period of time so that she can write and finish a book. So that's what's going on. So she's living in this incredible house temporarily. My joke about the room I wrote in was that it looked like Goethe's studio. In college, I wanted to study Spanish, but the line was too long, so I wound up studying German. By the second year, we were already reading entire books. Goethe was our first. To read the sorrows of young Goethe in the original German when you're young, if you were young like I was young, well, I was just fucked. My incessant longing was now validated by the genius of the past. Even later, when Frank O'Hara took pot shots at yearning in his famous essay, Personism, I felt, well, he's just being old-fashioned. The summer I lived in the house, I was actually part of a reading tour organized by Semiotext that brought us to Goethe's home in Weimar. Our host, Sasha Anderson, was a small, dirty guy in leather jeans and sandals with an illustrious girlfriend, Reinheld. Long, flowing blonde hair, and her family had a barbecue for us in their vineyard. Millions of sausages were smoking away in a vast outdoor grill. Silver, who was Jewish, I think everyone on the tour was except me, but Silver had barely escaped the Holocaust as a child, and at the barbecue he was having fits. On the whole tour, really. Some Jews can go to Germany, but not Silver. And one by one, during the barbecue, we were led away alone into a small library and told by a cameraman and his friends to sit on a stool in front of a wall of decrepit, gilded books. A light shone right in my eyes. The moment had come. I was being interviewed by German TV. How do you like Goethe? Do people in America think much about Goethe? I was actually very excited to answer the questions of the cameraman and his friends, but it was my discomfort and ignorance that they wanted, my American stupidity. My knowledge was not of great interest to them. People don't care, I told them. They nodded knowingly. Goethe's studio was one of the rooms we got to peek into across a rope. I remember his big black carriage filling the garage, his serene private garden out back, and the great classical busts of his men friends that punctuated the house's furnishing, but actually I don't remember the study. Who's asking these questions anyhow? I think a poet's study is just an idea. Wherever I'm writing, it is. In Belfast, my studio had extremely high ceilings and wooden beams and stark white stucco walls and large windows into the front. The room was in fact the summer kitchen. It's a landmark German farmhouse, a little gem, Eden said. It cost us $1 million. It was sort of cool that she told me. Faye and Laurie visited once most of the writing was done. I had been alone for a couple of months, and they broke the ice. I remember walking to greet them as they got out of their car. How can I explain that the house was situated on grass, and you walked up the slope from the house, still on the ubiquitous greenness, and now the two of them were standing outside of their car, which they had parked on grass, and I felt like a Martian floating out of my ship. I guess because they were seeing me. To write, you get really alone. Now I had the sensation of having just landed. I was dwelling in the softest space. It was this insane country living. Rarely does a lesbian, not this lesbian, rarely had I ever felt this cool. I was wearing this green shirt, and my hair had grown into some condition of excess, kind of Wildian, I thought. I was part of this place, and now was even the host of my friends' enjoyment. We all wanted female artists to look and feel this well. It was that rare narcissistic moment, a rousing pleasure for all of us. Coming up from my estate, I greeted my friends. I showed them my pile of manuscript, and later I think Faye cooked. Oh, she brought food, and Laurie was just kind of wild and generous. Everyone was. My dog's snoring, and it's pouring outside now. I enjoy thinking back. It was all so perfect. Until recently, maybe this summer or the last one, I've been trying to return to that perfection of feeling, setting, and because the only virginity I am really familiar with is the past. And happily, the one unambivalent fact of getting older is I don't still want that place or any place anymore. It's a realization I can trace like the growth of an idea. Take the time that him and I had sex. It was a poet friend many years ago. He didn't fuck me, but he had his hand way up inside, and acknowledging that I was a lesbian, he proclaimed, "What a waste." I thought, what is so special about this cunt? But I thought, how great that it's special. He wanted to fuck me, and I knew for sure in that moment that I would become pregnant. It was why he was admiring my cunt. He felt it was his. If it was mine, his feeling was wasted. Without thinking too much about it, I enjoyed being wasted for him. Like a spilt glass of milk, my life. A white pool shimmering on the floor. My corrupt womanhood, a waste. I feel the same way about being a writer, staying up all night, burning my brain cells for years, swallowing tons of cheap speed, also for years, eating poorly, pretty much drinking myself to death, and then not. Contracting whatever STD came to me in the 70s, 80s, 90s, smoking cigarettes a couple of packs a day for at least 20 years, being poor and not ever going to the doctor, only the dentist flash teeth, wasting my time doing so little work, being truly dysfunctional, and on top of that, especially my point, being a dyke in terms of the whole giant society, just a fogged human glass turned on its side, yak, 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 a lesbian talking. and being rewarded for it. Not only wasted, but useless, rancid, a wreck. It has come to me slow. 10 years ago, Jane DeLynn said, "Let's face it, Eileen, we are ruined." She didn't mean by some romantic sadness. She meant in fact. Jane's a little older. I wasn't ruined yet. Jane had a good education, Iowa, Barnard. She may have fucked up, but she's basically rich. I mean, she may have been ruined earlier for some of these same reasons, and privilege, of course, will make a person rot. Look at men. Nothing good there. But probably she was just being contrary or ironic or wanted to tell me that I was ruined and didn't think I could handle it alone. I was actually pretty hardworking and nervous in my 40s and still thought it was possible to be good, to get it right, to win. Nope, I am destroyed. A shattered boat of a person, a broken window here, a lousy bell there, an old crappy dyke with half a brain leaking a book, a drippy excrescence, a schmear. I read a long time ago about a man who seemed normal, but when he died, they performed an autopsy. Why did they always perform an autopsy if he was so normal? They discovered his brain was just this little piece, the part that connects the left to the right. He only had that. Like a headband. The doctors couldn't imagine how the guy lived and functioned, never mind thought. It made me shiver. I felt that could be me. Not only wasted, but partial. A blur on the handle. I wrote the first chapter of this book, My Fucking Inferno, and New York blew up. If I died tomorrow, I could really care less. I'd be relieved. Look at me. My face is an old catcher's mitt. Blam, thunk. Reactions and dents, a cold bent lighthouse, burr. A melancholy lava lamp. A woman, a man, a butch, a bitch. Rots of rock. Watching the fragments float by for years. I'm done. Hello, it's me. I think I should read one more little section.
Yes.
Because now we're going to go into heaven.